Hey, what's up everybody? BDF 44 coming at you with another video. Alright, so I was thinking about something else. I'm walking here. It's about maybe 3 or 4 minutes after my last video ended. Sometimes it's one of those things where we're trying our best to follow God, but our natural inclination is to follow our first mind, and we may throw a monkey wrench in God's plans by doing so. Don't feel bad about that. It's essentially what's coming to me. Maybe he told you to go left and you went right just one time in the midst of a good flurry of obedience, but that one little thing you just didn't get right. I think we need to understand that the process of discipline in anything at all is the practice of it all, to know that you're going to make mistakes at times. You're going to not necessarily be there yet while you're on your way. You know, for me, it was like, okay, I'm doing this, and this right. But then that one thing happened, in a quick moment, I heard the voice of God say, yo, go this way, and I went that way. Just real quick, and regretted it, and then some things tumble forward, and now we're not quite where we would have been if I would have just been faithful and obedient. But as I tell you, it's not about getting it right all the time. It's just about working that into practice to say, okay, look how many times I did follow God, and my intention is to always follow God. So let me just, like any other practice, understand that we don't make every shot we take. We don't hit every ball that we swing at. It's one of those situations where you just got to know that God has that worked in his equation, that you're not going to be perfect in your wish to be obedient while learning to discipline yourself toward consistent obedience. You know, we fall off the wagon. Maybe you have an addiction or something like that. You may have fallen off the wagon for a week or so. Maybe you had a bad week. Your intentions of getting back up is just as important to God as your consistency in staying up, because at the end of the day, you're on your way. You ain't got to be there yet. If you were already there, it wouldn't be a journey at all. If you had the practice in place, it wouldn't be a work toward the discipline of making it a practice in place. The work toward means that there's going to be some times where you're just not going to necessarily have it. That work toward that discipline means that sometimes throughout the course of trying to work it into your everyday life, you may miss it. You may miss one. You may miss two. You know, when I was working out early on in my life, when I was trying to work out, there was the discipline of trying to get through the days that I was the most sore. And sometimes throughout the course of trying to work this into my discipline every day, I might have missed a day. Or I might have had a certain circumstance within my schedule that made it so that I had to work out later at night. And I had to work through my laziness within that night in order to actually achieve my goal. That wasn't even my fault, nor did I mess up. But it did mean that my discipline was off, and it was incumbent upon me to overcome what otherwise was bad, disciplining myself, the wrong way of going, to overcome to do it. Got to work out at 8 at night. I'm used to working out at 5:30. I'm already asleep at 8 at night, just by example. But it's going to take the choice to move forward in the right way in order to work in that discipline. The next time I needed to work out at 8 at night, you know how much easier it was to do that? Sometimes we just got to give ourselves the understanding that you are not where you're headed. So as you stumble, that's already okay. Now, that don't mean that you want to continue to give yourself passes for stumbling, because the whole point is to work it into your equation to be consistent. You're trying to be consistent. But if you happen to stumble in that process of trying to be consistent, that doesn't necessarily mean that you have failed, or that now it's your cue to look at yourself as somebody who cannot be consistent, so you just keep going on the way. No. You're going the right way. You're doing the right thing. And any blemishes in that process of trying to get there is something that's natural in the process of becoming better. It's part of it. So that's what I want to say to everybody. You know, get out of your own way, in the sense that the enemy will always try to use that against you. I see you fell off, man. Ain't no sense in even trying no more. You ain't never gonna connect with God. Your obedience isn't there. You are so far away from being obedient that you only get it right once every blue moon. Well, that is a rhythm in and of itself. Every blue moon means that there's a certain time around when that moon is blue. And if you get it right when that happens, guess what? It gets it that every so often when that blue moon comes around, you're gonna get better and better at getting it right in that rhythm. And then you're going to be able to work it into your equation in between the blue moons as well as the blue moon. And then you're going to be on the clock. Because that's all it's about, is your intentions, your acceptance that you're going to make some mistakes, your acceptance of the slow process of your process, or the quick process, whatever your speed would be. And then from there, being cool with the results and being encouraged by the promise of better results as you get better at your consistency. And that's what it is for me. It's like, man, I may have made a mistake in my obedience. And that may be why the enemy was able to reach me in this situation. God did say, yo, don't do that there. And I did it anyway, and now we're here. But look at the strength that I'm displaying and being here. It ain't no mistake. You know what I mean? It wasn't no mistake. I'm still trying to get as good as I can be at being obedient. And I'm trying to work my way into consistency. I'm at 93% or something. That 7% is going to happen. But the closer I get to it, the further we get along to being exactly who I want to be. And I'm telling you, it's my intentions that makes me proud. It's not necessarily getting it right every time. It's my intention to know that no matter how many times a 7% come around, I'm going to always try to go work back into that 93. If y'all following me. So that's what I want to tell people, man. The enemy don't try to always make you feel like this is the end of the world, like everything that's coming against you is it, like this is the end of the movie, like we were saying in another video. It ain't the end of the movie. God is still working. You ain't alone in what it is that disappointed you. God is disappointed in whoever disappointed you. You're going to work through your problem because it's in your intentions to do so. So long as you have those intentions, it's possible. Like, that's it. It only becomes impossible when you quit. It only becomes impossible when you start believing what the enemy wants to tell you about the fact that you ain't quite there yet and ain't never going to get there. That's not true. Because the fact you even started this process shows me that you've improved. It should show you that too. So that's what I want to tell people, man. You may not be where you want to be. Maybe the enemy was able to really get to you this time and you now on a bad week or whatever. Man, that does not mean that you are done. That don't mean that you're not in the process of getting it right more often from here, especially with your intentions of getting back up right now. And whatever happens within your intentions of making that mistake, God's going to be able to do great things from within that because he knows you're in between getting it right next time. You see what I'm saying? It's like if you fall off, yeah, the enemy's definitely going to be able to work that way. But if you're getting yourself back up, man, God can do so many different things with that mistake that you made. He can branch off and get so many different good things out of that mistake that weren't even possible if you wouldn't have made it. That's what I'm here to tell you. That's the beauty of God, man. It took that mistake for this possibility, that possibility, and the lesson learned from making that mistake. You wouldn't have had none of that if you would have stayed on straight. But that's only possible if your intentions remain in trying to keep up with what it is you were trying to do. God can do anything with anything. Don't get it twisted. I'm not trying to put limitations on God. But if you're going to head in the wrong direction, of course the enemy is going to be able to follow you there. That's really what it is. But if your intentions are to stay on track with him and do the things that he wants you to do, oh man, there ain't a whole lot the enemy can work with in that circumstance. It ain't a whole lot he can work in that space when you're trying to improve. And you're working your progressions to becoming consistent, making this what you do an everyday thing. So that's what the thought is now. It's like, man, sit up here thinking about how certain things could have been better. Well, it was like, oh man, I think the Lord told me to do this and I didn't do it. Man, I ain't even really certain in the specifics of my circumstance. Yeah, the Lord might have told me to do something. I wasn't really sure. But I know I didn't like how this tumbled forward. I wasn't really sure, but it's like, man, if you're really thinking about what God wants for you, then you know he could work within that circumstance. He can work all kind of stuff out from what it is that you accidentally might have stumbled into when it wasn't even your intention to be disobedient. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't even my intention to be disobedient. I just worked the way that I always work by default, maybe. Maybe. My natural inclination is to do that. God wanted me to now start doing this from here on out. Well, man, of course I'm going to do that every once in a while. It's like trying to change your basketball shot. For all of us who know about basketball well enough, you try to change your shooting motion. Yeah, you do it in practice sometimes. Do it in practice, working into your equation, get good at it in practice. But when you get in the game, in a pressured moment, and it's the last second on the shot clock, you may, depending on how far into working, changing your shot, you may just revert back to the natural way you shoot when the time is pressured. You see what I'm saying? When it's pressure on the clock, if you've only been working on changing your shot for a couple days, believe you me, depending on how good you are at picking up new things, you're going to shoot the ball the same way you used to shoot it in that moment. You got the first 3 quarters, yeah, you got the new motion in. But when this comes down to it and the defense is on you tight and it's like expiring on the clock, you're going to shoot that ball the same way you've been shooting it, unless you've been in that practice for a long time and likely have already worked through this in real game situations. So this is what that was for me, I believe. But I'm trying to change my shot though. And now that I've gone through to being what I think may have been disobedient in the moment and didn't like how that went, I'm like, Lord, okay, in my meditative space, I'm saying, God, my intention is to stay on track every single time with you. I want to shoot the ball the new way, because the new way is going to go in, the old way never go in. And I'll tell you right now, man, there are going to be a lot of things that you know situationally, and we're going to keep the basketball reference, situationally, that are going to happen because you shoot the ball a certain way. But now that you've changed your shot, them situations change now, buddy. Now you can expect to hit more shots, so the defense is going to play off of you a little more, or rather going to play tighter to you, so now you got a little more space to move that way. If you just assume, and this is what I'm trying to get at, if you assume that things are going to go a certain way because you've always worked a certain way, but you're changing your ways, you can't let the enemy let you think that the scenario is going to go the same way now that you've changed. Because all you have seen is your old way. You have yet to see what the new work is going to do for you, right? You have yet to see how the defense is going to play against you now that you've changed your shot. So before you get to a point where you show that, but you've been working on your shot, the enemy may try to get into your head and make you feel like, man, this is how this goes. This is how this goes. Regardless of how your shot changed to this, you better be ready for that and ready for this and ready for that. But no, that ain't, nah. Now we've changed my shot. It's different things to be ready for. And that's the type of thing that we need to work into our equation as we change as human beings. I don't want the same things I wanted when I was doing things the wrong way. I may not know what it looks like to choose something new based on the changes I've made within myself, but I can be rest assured that I'm not going to find the same results, because the me I am as I choose isn't the same me. So maybe I wanted this type of person in my life when I was doing things that way, and that way. But now that I've changed in some ways that are key, I don't have to assume that this is the type of person I'm going to be around or attract, or this type of situation I'm going to get when I choose a person. Hell no, that's not what's going to happen. Why? Because I've changed. I've worked the Lord's discipline into my life, and now I'm more likely to find what it is that He means for me. Not just what I stumble into off of the whim of doing things my way, because doing things my way ain't never worked for me. But just because things have never worked for me because I've never done things God's way, don't mean that now I'm starting to practice doing things God's way, and now that when I'm in a real life situation, throughout the course of a lot of practice, that I'm going to then make a decision that's ultimately going to bring me the same results. I'm not. I've changed. It's going to be some different results. We're going to handle these situations much better. And now from there, we're going to see what God can really do with the improvements upon my life versus the decision making that I would otherwise put in place from within my circumstance of choosing. You're going to find better results. You're going to be more of a solution. You're going to know where to find solutions. The old you couldn't do that. All the old you know how to do was fight and then get what comes with fighting, and then from there you get the worst of results, and now you got to work from within there all the different faith mechanisms that come with having to deal with these problems, and problems ain't coming. The enemy wants you to think them problems coming. They ain't coming, because now you changed. Now you change your shot. The defense gonna have to guard you differently. So that's what I'm here to tell y'all, man. Don't let the enemy make you feel like the work you put in ain't gonna bring about the right results when you've been putting in this work. You didn't put in the work, and you still got more work to put in, but now you can start seeing how it is that you've changed. You can see what the Lord wants to do in your life. You can see how hard it is for the enemy to walk across that bridge when you didn't start burning all them damn bridges he walk over. You see what I'm saying? All those things that he did that could get to you, they ain't gonna get to you the same way. So that's what I'm here to say as well, man. That's the message that came to me as I'm sitting up here trying to figure out, how things, it don't matter how things got, nothing. Why? Because I'm different. I'm different. I'm at a 97 percentile as opposed to 93. I'm only going to see myself make that mistake maybe 1-2 more times, if ever again, because of the work that I've put in. I ain't got to worry about the consequences that come with doing things the wrong way. I ain't going to do it that way no more. I ain't going to track the things that come with doing things the wrong way, and the things that are in my life that came to me when I was attracting things the wrong way ain't going to be able to get to me the way that I was, because the work is now put in. I put in the work. Now when the enemy tries to use this person to do that to me, guess what I'm saying? Praise God. What I would have said last time? Oh, this, that, the third, I'm down, I can't do that, and because of that, I'm just going to be sad. And the enemy can't get to me like that no more. I didn't put in the work. I didn't seen God work. I didn't seen how faith applied work for me. I changed my shot 7 times over. And now it's like, well, you're going to do that? Okay, cool. Let me do what works and watch how the Lord moves. And then we're going to see what the results of that are. BDF 44. I thank you all for watching.